What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Gains podcast. I'm Amber P,
I'm Alexis Adams.
and it's been a minute. We've been busy traveling. Alexis is a world traveler now, y'all. She's going places. She's on planes and things.
Lord. I'm like earning points on
You,
planes at this
look
point.
at you. Come on, points. I love that. I had points. I didn't even realize I had a bunch of points, so I could use my points to get Wi-Fi on the plane. I was like,
Yes.
yes, especially for Arizona because that was a 4-hour flight. So I was like, I'm gonna need some Wi-Fi for this one because I and for like 4 hours on a flight for me, that's tough. So like longer. I'm nervous for myself when I have to do something longer than that because by the third hour,
Yeah. So the last trip we went on was like 11 days, but we went to Texas for Texas Pro, and then the following weekend Martin had a guest posing in Denver. But his family's from Wyoming, so he made it a trip. So he went from Texas to Denver. And because of the time changes, it psychs you out. So it looks like it's shorter until you consider the time change. So from here to Texas was like 2 hours, I think.
mm-hmm.
And then when I'm looking, it looked like the flight was a little under 2 hours going to um, Denver. But then I calculated, like, because of the time change, it was actually almost three. So I was like sitting there, but I wasn't prepared. So the first one I knew was long. The
Yeah.
second one I thought was short. So I was excited. And then we're like sitting there, and I look at my phone and I realized it bumped back an hour. And I was like,
Tragedy. This is a tragedy, man. That's tough. That's tough. So let's see here. We're gonna answer some questions. We'll do some updates. So what I'm even are we 6 or 7 weeks out from the Olympia now? I've lost track.
six. Today, well, today's Wednesday.
Okay.
6 in 2 days.
6 in 2 days. I like freaked Michaela out when I was leaving Arizona. I was like, okay, see you in 4 weeks. She's like, what's in 4 weeks? I said the Olympia. She's like, Amber, the Olympia is not in 4 weeks. I was like, okay, ignore me.
I mean, that would have had me panicking, thinking you booked your flight wrong, like I did that
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah.
My aunt today booked her flight. So
Yay.
like she already had her tickets, and like I know
Mhm.
she booked the hotel, I think, but she booked the flight. So everybody's going.
Everybody's gonna be there. Yes, my brain, like I'm so excited to have to travel. I don't have to travel for 4 weeks, y'all. And like between July and now, I've been Jersey, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Nashville, Arizona, and somewhere else. So to just like, and I'm grateful for it, but again, traveling every weekend is hard. I'll just leave it at that. Grateful, but again, it wouldn't be so difficult if I wasn't in prep because things are just a little bit easier to manage. But yeah, man, it's
Yeah. Well, and it's also like it's not too bad. So
oh, Tampa, duh. That's
yeah.
where it is.
So like traveling's not too bad until you're trying to like coordinate normal people things with your prep. So like the last trip was fine, but there was like exploring and things like that, and like making sure you have
Yeah,
enough food. And then boss is like, add 300 carbs today. And I'm like, okay, cool. I get more food. But then when I'm calculating, I'm like, oh, this is a lot of food. So then I'm like trying to figure out how to disperse it. So I'm not eating a ton of food at the end of the night, but also like it was on the day of the guest posing. So I'm like
uh,
having to like, what can I pack decently easily?
yeah.
um, but like this weekend, I'm traveling to North Carolina. I'll fly to Charlotte and stay at Amber's for Olivia's wedding. But that I'm less stressed about because one,
Yeah.
it's a shorter trip, but two, it's like nobody's gonna look at me weird when I go out to my car to get a meal. Like, everybody knows the drill. Most of the people there do the drill. So
Hmm. Yeah. I just completely lost my train of thought. I don't know what I was getting ready to say. Whatever, it's fine. Oh, well, something that I found interesting was weekends, my weight drops because I'm just going, going, going. I don't have time to think. And then when I get home, my weight goes back up because like now I'm stressed. I'm trying to get back on a routine. I'm trying to do all the things. So I'm just kind of like, it's been this whole ping pong thing. So that's been annoying. But cheers to prep. All right, let's answer some questions. Well, I could answer this. How to rest. I suffer from anxiety, and rather than meds, I have been exercising daily. It from what I have been going through this season, it's mental. You have to mentally rest because for me right now, my body is fine. Physically, I am not tired. Mentally, I have run 85 marathons, and when you are not mentally locked in, the body will not follow. I'm living proof of it. So you have to find structure and order, which I'm literally preaching to myself right now. You have to find structure and order. Like Alexis tells me, there are some things where you're just gonna have to take them off your plate because you can't do them right now. And then, assess yourself and ask, is there something greater going on? Like, is there maybe an issue going on that maybe you've pushed off that you haven't really dealt with? And maybe it's kind of like coming in and getting you, because that can happen sometimes as well. But it's a mental game. You have to really do your due diligence and figure out what it is that you can do to maintain your stress and keep you calm.
Yeah. For me, it's like just limiting my brain. Like what causes me the most anxiety is when there's too many things on my plate.
Mhm.
And for me right now, it's trying to keep up with too much information. Like I can only do one thing at a time at this point. So like my phone has been on do not disturb more than not. Like I took it off today because I was waiting for a message from Amber to do this podcast. And then it's going back on. Like because I
Mhm.
was trying to multitask, so I didn't want to like miss the message.
Yeah.
Um, but for the most part, and then like so people know this, my friends know this, but if you and I do it too, where I'm like, if it's on my brain and I need to tell you information, I'll send it to you. So I might send you 4 or 5 messages back to back, and
Yeah.
I don't need you to respond to me right now. Like, get to it when you get to it. But it's on my brain, so I'm going to send it.
Right.
And those people are on also do not disturb
Yeah.
because if I open a message and there's like 6 messages and I just can't, I get out of it and mark it as unread and come back to it when my brain is more functioning.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's just like overwhelming.
Yeah.
Um, and that's just how it is. So, like, do whatever you have to do to remove things from your plate that you can't handle right now. For me, that helps the most. I'm like, okay, I wake up in the morning, I do my morning routine, I have a couple posing clients. That's as far as I can think, and then my posing clients are done. And now I can think, okay, I know like gym comes next. So
Mhm.
I'm going to kind of think about the next 3 hours and how I'm planning them out and how I'm doing my meals. Okay, gym's done. Now I'm going to like chill for a minute before I have more posing girls. And that's about how my day goes. Like I break it up into increments.
Mhm.
And Martin has learned that too. Cause I'm like, wake up in the morning, I'm making my coffee. He's like, what you got going on today? I'm like, coffee.
Yes.
He's just like,
Yes.
you know what I'm doing right now? I do it every morning. I'm gonna keep doing my coffee right now,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about it once I have my coffee.
That's real. That is so real. I mean, you hit it right on the head. Like too many things on the plate. I realized this past week in Arizona, I am overstimulated because I almost had an anxiety attack because an athlete asked me something, and it was just like I was just about to sit down, and like what she was asking me was just so not important. It was just like you don't compete until like eons, and I was just kind of like, I don't need to be needed right now. I need a moment because I've been going. It was just too much. Overstimulation is real, man. It's real.
It really is.
Let's see. Tips for a successful reverse diet.
um, treat it like your prep is the best that I can say. Like one day at a time.
Mhm.
Know that you're gonna be hungry and be very aware of that because I feel like the hunger is way more intense when there's not a reason to ignore it.
Mhm.
And really the only reason to ignore it is to not get substantially fat. And for some reason that reason doesn't weigh as heavily as getting on stage in front of people. Um, so one day at a time. And if you've gone through a prep before and had a bad reverse, think now what made it so bad.
Mhm.
So like like you guys know I have struggled with reverses in the past. I have struggled coming out of show. And this year was my best one. I've said that every prep, so it gets better every time. But I think significantly this one coming out of show, boss bumped my food significantly and didn't put cardio back in. So like cardio
Mhm.
came out for peak week and then it never went back in. I'm still not doing cardio. I know that's crazy. Um, but one, I think the cardio, I've told you guys before, like post show, that I want the cardio to come down personally before I want the food to go up. Like, I just don't want to get on the bike for 40 minutes. Like, I want nothing to do with it. I feel like the whole time I'm just thinking about all the things I could be getting done, especially when you're coming out of show and your brain starts working again and you can be more productive. It's like all these things that went on the back burner that I need to keep up with now. For me, that just drives me insane. But I found that bumping my food and maybe bumping the scale a couple extra pounds that first and second week post show helped significantly than having immense hunger for an extended period of time for no reason. Like, you want to control the fat that comes onto your body post show, of course, because that's how you keep insulin sensitivity and you can rebound out of a show and grow more muscle in a timely manner rather than like screwing your hormones up even more. Um, but there's a happy balance between controlling body fat and controlling your sanity.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. From something I realized the other day is that I talk to, I think, way more athletes than like the average bodybuilder does, just for the nature of what I do. Like, I'm all like, you know what I mean? And so I hear a lot of things, and like from pros to amateurs, people who no longer compete. And the one thing that I have noticed amongst the amateurs is, I think, you know how too much of a good thing can be too much? We're at a point now where there's so much content where it's great, but I think a lot of you are so stressed out about the reverse before you even get there, to the point that it you're sabotaging yourself. It backfires. You're so stressed out about it, and it's like, well, hold on. Like, you're aware of what a reverse diet is. You know what could happen if you don't follow it. That's kind of all you need to know at that point, because you still have to go through it. So don't stress yourself out so much before you even get there. But then I also feel one of the reasons why I don't struggle with reverse diets is because, like Alexis said, like, I'm always fed into a show. So on show day, I'm never starving. And then right after, my food goes right back up. I'm someone who will always ask for more food and not care about 3 to 4 pounds coming up, because for me, like, I need my brain. My brain is way more important than staying close to state weight. Like, I don't care. I take, for what I do, it takes a lot of my brain power. So don't stress yourself out before you even get there. And
Yeah,
guess
I was gonna
what?
say, I guess the other thing is to like keep in mind that you are not trying to stay stage lean.
Yeah.
The nonsense of being 6 weeks post show and only 2 pounds up is not. You shouldn't be shooting for that.
Mm-mm.
Um, Point blank. Some people do respond that way. Their food can just be going up
Yeah.
and up and up and up, and like sometimes your food's going up and then you're dropping weight initially post show. I know that's happened to you, right?
That happens to me. Yeah. It takes me a long time to get body fat
Yeah.
back.
So
Yeah.
like those are usually outliers. So it's like a cool fact to post. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't like post it. If that's your journey, that's your journey. But
Yeah.
don't post it as something to strive for because everyone responds differently. So the general goal of post show is to control fat gain but normalize your hormones and get everything back to equilibrium. It's
Yeah.
not to have cool lines for as long as possible. And honestly, that is what I thought for a long time. I heard the if you ruined it 2 weeks post show, like what are you doing? And I've had close people that I looked up to say that. And I thought that was important. And it's bullshit. It's bull. Some
Hallelujah.
people respond that way and some people don't. And if you have the lines, cool, but like you don't need them. You don't have to strive for that. That's not the point.
Mhm. I can tell you as someone who does fall on that side of I do stay lean for a longer period of time. It's not on purpose. That's just my body. But y'all, I don't glorify it. There's nothing fun about it. You know why? I have to eat a lot. It's not fun. It is not fun. It is so much easier for me to eat 2,000 calories, 1,600 calories than it is 23 and 2,400 calories. There is nothing fun about that. So for the people that like to try to glorify it, it's just, or people like, oh, you're so lucky. It's like, no, because either way, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. So if someone's spitting that at you, just ignore them because they're crazy. It's not fun. It ain't. Let's see. Thoughts on the evolution and future of bikini and wellness, i.e., posing muscularity. I feel that wellness is finally at a point to where it's good. It's solid now. Like everything makes sense.
Yeah, I think I don't see wellness getting larger muscularity wise. If you like look over the history of divisions, they tend to like kind of wax and wane as far as how big the girls are,
Yeah.
and then they pull it back, and then they tend to get a little bit bigger and then they pull it back. But I think especially this season, they've been very clear that they do not want men's open bodybuilder lower bodies. Like,
Yes.
it's not as
Hallelujah.
big as you can possibly get. It still needs to look feminine,
Yeah.
and they don't want huge shoulders. So I think it will like over the years change a little bit, but I don't. I think they found a good footing of where they want it.
Yeah. I agree. For bikini, the trend that I'm seeing, well, it's not even the trend, it's the criteria. And I think this is what people have a hard time understanding. You need to be lean and you need to be full. If you do not have the muscle, there is nothing to fill out. You're just it's not going to be the same look. So essentially, yes, it's a unicorn, but if you've been watching, you can see like the pros that have been winning shows, they are conditioned, but their muscles are full. They are full. So, in order to get that full muscular look, you need to keep lifting, you need to grow. And Alexis says it all the time, and it's true that when you have the muscle, it pushes up against the skin. And you still have to be properly conditioned, but you don't have to get as lean. And then when you start filling out, it's going to make it nice and round and bubbly. But if the muscle is not big enough, it's not going to have the look.
Right.
Okay, Alexis, how to do night shifts with prep. I don't
So I
know.
actually thought about like going into depth and making our like a separate one. Like I can do a
Okay.
solo episode, but in
Yeah,
general,
do that. Do that.
make the days that you work your meals from wake up to go to sleep. Don't try to do it midnight to midnight. Been there, done that. It doesn't work. You end up getting meals backed up and it's a pain. And then it doesn't work like nutrient wise, especially if you're going from training day to off day and you have two different
Oh.
diets. Um, have cardio at home. Get a bike off of Facebook Marketplace for like $50. It's worth it. Put it in your living room. Like you don't need a garage. um, Make your meals the night before so that you don't have to do that extra stuff in the morning. And then depending like if you're healthcare and you work like 312s or 412s, try not to train on the days that you work if you can avoid it. So
Yeah.
um depending on how many training days a week you have, you might have to do one or two, but like don't schedule yourself to train every day that you work. You're just going to run yourself into a sleepless hole because you're going to wake up earlier or go to sleep later because you're training after work. And then when I worked night shifts, I found that if I had to train on the day that I worked, training before work was the most efficient. If I trained after work, it was a useless workout. Um, Whereas like physically it's harder to push once you're exhausted. So I would train and then like it's easier to make well, for me it was easier to make my brain work at work with coffee and stuff than to lift heavy weight once I was exhausted, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So like I would do the gym first and then know that I would work the rest of my shift and really just need my brain. I didn't you need work, you need your body as a nurse, but not as intensely as in
Yeah.
the gym.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Cause I always wonder. Cause I mean, I know for me, this is what I've just had to do. I don't train on days I work in the salon anymore because it's just like it's too much. I'm standing up 8 hours and it's so I was always wondering, like, I guess it would be more beneficial if you have to do it before. Because 'cause I'm like, if I have to do it after work, it's not happening. It's just it's garbage.
Yeah, and like when I would work and night shift takes a different toll on your body. So
Yeah.
when I would work days, it was not as hard for me to go to the gym after work.
Mhm.
But when I was traveling and the hospitals were a lot more like labor intensive and just busier, and I was constantly on my feet more, um, it's still working days was better for me to get up at 2 a.m. and go train than to try to train at 8 p.m. at night after I felt like I'd been hit by a bus. Um, so some of it is going to take like a little bit of like tinkering, and I have clients who do like police officers do a lot of back and forth, like 2 weeks on days, 2 weeks on nights, which I'm not sure who came up with that idea. I learned during travel nursing that like Maryland, and I'm sure other states, but like Maryland hospitals did that with their staff, like their nursing staff. They would swing back and forth.
Oh my
And my
god.
assumption is that maybe they couldn't get enough people to stay on nights.
Oh,
So it was kind of like they're like,
okay.
everyone gets both. Um, but no. When I took travel assignments, I was like, I will be strictly days or I will not take this job.
That would be brutal to bounce back and forth.
Yeah. So with that, depending on your setup, it's going to take a little bit of like trial and error to see what you respond to the best. But once you find something that works, just stick with it. Don't listen to all the other people in the friggin' choir that have things to say.
Mhm.
Everyone responds differently to everything. So once you find something that works, stick with it because bodybuilding is just doing the same thing over and over and over. So like once I found what worked for me, days that I worked, I did this. Days that I didn't work, I did this.
Yep.
And then how I came off of work also varied. Like I would usually flip back to my daytime routine and then go back to nights.
Okay.
If you have control over your night shift schedule, like a lot of hospitals do like self-scheduling for nurses. I worked all of mine in a row. So I would try to like line them up where I worked like Wednesday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday of one week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of the next week. So it was like six in a row. So I would train like the first day, a middle day, and an end day,
Mhm.
and then I'd have like 10 days off before I had to go back. So I could flip, be on a night shift schedule, flip back, be on a day shift schedule. It takes a toll on your body ultimately, but it's better than constantly flipping back and forth or constantly being sleep deprived.
Yeah, definitely do a full episode on that. That's very helpful. I got nothing, sorry. Useless. Tips, advice for first national show. Have
um, I think we've covered this a little bit, but
yeah.
um, I would say bring your very best physique. Don't go to a national show until you feel like you can lock into a prep. They're very expensive, more than double what a regional show costs. So don't like the hotels are more expensive because they're a nicer venue. Um, the entry fee is at least double depending on which show that you do. Junior shows I think are like 350 for entry. The USA's North American shows like that are like 400 now or
Mm,
something crazy.
crazy.
Because I know Junior Nationals was 250 when I did it 3 years ago.
Mhm.
So um like financially plan for it, and then don't expect to win your pro card. Now, we're always shooting to win. Bring your best physique to try to win, but don't expect it. You should never expect anything at a bodybuilding show. It's a subjective sport.
Mhm.
So, and know your presentation, I guess would be the last thing I would say. Because regional shows, you can absolutely get away with half-assing your posing and still win. That's just the
Absolutely.
reality of it. I don't recommend it, but you can. But if you half-ass it into your regional show and then you're scrambling into your national show, you're also going to be not that great. But I have seen many times in like Becky Clausen, Fit Pro Becky on Instagram has said it on Instagram multiple times. I've seen girls pose them way out of pro cards. They have the best physique, they can't pose it, they do not win. You
Mm,
need to be able to present your physique if you want to win a physique show.
yeah. Yep. I agree. Have realistic expectations. You don't know what you don't know. Also, and this is a topic that I've been helping a couple athletes through, please understand that if you ever message Alexis or I anything, we're going to be honest. And it's not in a douchebag way. We're going to be honest because we would be doing you a disservice if not. Now, we never go out of our way to give unsolicited advice to anybody. Like we have our podcast, but that's a different situation. But for me to
Unless
just
you're my friend, then I
right,
will tell you unsolicited. I mean, like,
yeah,
I know you didn't ask for this, but
yeah, and she will, she will. I never do it. I'm like, go figure it out. Ask me, I might tell you, but I'm never gonna go in someone's DM and say, "Hey, girl, you need to do this." But recently, I've had quite a few athletes just, asking my opinions on things, and it's frustrating to me when it's a coach giving a new athlete bad advice and making them feel like they are about to go get their pro card and they're not even close. That is a hard conversation. That is not fun, but like I said, it's tricky because you don't know what you don't know. So it just goes back to doing your homework, getting a good coach, but always have realistic expectations because it can be anybody's day. And national shows, your first one, the two most humbling shows are your first national show and your pro debut. Both of those shows are research and development. You don't know where you stand. So you're literally going in to see what's good where you're at. So just if you can go in with that mindset, I think it will be more beneficial than going in saying, "Oh yeah, I'm about to go and take the whole show." Like, yes, girl, be confident, but also know you're probably going to get humbled, and that's okay because that's part of the journey.
yes. And then don't try to rush it. So if this is your first season, you can do a national show if you qualify and want to. But then don't rush into it because you feel like you have to. Just because you qualified does not mean you're ready for a national
Oh,
show.
oh,
And then don't don't run the circuit your first season. I feel like that's a good
that's
thing
good
to say.
tip.
Everyone does not need to run the
Good
circuit.
tip.
Um, especially if it's feedback of like fuller, usually, especially at the national level, means more muscle. Unless you know there's a significant difference between how you looked on stage and how you looked 2 days out
Right.
because of a peaking issue, it doesn't mean eat more food. It means more muscle. Um, and sometimes tighter also means more muscle. So unless it's like a posing tweak or you absolutely know something went wrong with your peak and you kind of had an idea before you even got on stage, usually if something goes wrong with your peak, you know before you step on stage. The Olympia, I knew something was not right.
No, I feel you. My pro debut, I was like, "Ooh, baby, we spilled, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
all
like,
right."
why can't I see my tie-ins in any of this lighting? I don't know if it's all the lighting.
Like, film, nothing. It's like, dang.
So, just like be aware of the level of competition that's coming to these shows. And then also, I guess like the thing I tell my opposing clients is just be aware, like whatever you saw happen at at your regional show, it's the same thing, larger scale.
Mhm,
You're still going on stage, usually in about the same order. You might have like a preview lineup if there's a lot of girls in your class.
mhm.
There's more girls than were at your regional show. Regional shows, I mean, wellness classes are like, it's a big class if there's 10 girls. Now
Mhm.
wellness shows are like 20 plus in every category except for maybe D, especially for open. And then, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Good, good, good. Let's see. Good mind muscle connection with light weight, but when going heavy, I can't feel my glutes. Will they grow? And then hold on. Do I need to feel my glutes in the exercise if the form looks good in a biometric way for growth? If you're not feeling it, then something's not right.
Yeah, if you're not feeling it, you're not engaging the muscle.
Yeah, you're
So
not
no, it doesn't
moving
matter if it
well.
looks good or not.
Yeah.
That's why, like, if you, this is where the too much information crap comes in.
Nope.
Um, I see a lot now of people like, I know that like where you're ragging on someone or dogging someone, you get more views
Mhm,
and likes. So people are doing that a
mhm.
lot and criticizing someone's form. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you're criticizing someone at the top of bodybuilding's form, you're just a joke. Like what they're doing worked for them. So it doesn't matter if it's biochem like
Yeah.
mechanically correct or not. It's working for their body. Um, the same with like I have been struggling with RDLs. Never been a movement that I could do. I program them for people because they are very good at growing glutes and hamstrings. Um, but I did not build my glutes and hamstrings myself with them. I still
Mm,
struggle with them. Really, it's my erectors that move the weight. Um, and it's something that I've been like obsessing over. And I've been training with Eddie Shepherd to really focus on my glute ham tie in and like bringing that area up. And we've tried a bajillion variations of ways to do it. And like the last time we trained together, he was like, honestly, if you didn't build the glutes that you have now with these, you probably don't need them.
makes
And I was like,
sense.
that is a very solid point. It frustrates me personally because I'm like, this is a basic movement. I should be able to do it. But
Yeah,
everyone's biomechanics are not the same.
that's it.
So when you see me do some exercises, I get people in my like who will respond to my stories that are like, you should do it this way, you'll get more engagement. I'm like, no, I won't. Like so if you're not feeling it, stop doing it that way and try a different foot position, try a different machine, try a different
Mhm.
exercise. Because if you're not feeling it, it's not working. Now, if you're not even feeling, sometimes low weight, you can't engage the muscle that you're targeting.
Right.
But if you can't engage it at all with any weight, then
Yeah,
something's not right. So it's either not the movement for you or you need someone to help you.
yeah. That's honestly why I don't like posting my workouts because, like, especially if it's a squat or something, like, y'all, I'm 5'8". It's a long way to the ground. My form's ugly. Alexis said my form was good, so I was like, okay, that's a huge compliment. But I was doing something one time, and it was some kind of glute movement, and they were telling me that my form was wrong. And so, me being who I am, I go to their Instagram and I look at their glutes, and no shade, they're not a pro, but they also don't have glutes. So
Yes, it's like just be conscious of what you're saying and who you're saying it to and why you're saying it.
yeah.
Like the Bulgarian split squats that I do, I've had people come like they're like, you should move your foot back, you'll get more quad engagement. I'm like, I'm not doing them for quads. That's why my foot's not back. Like, what?
Yes, yes,
Have you seen
trying
my
to hit the
quads? They're
tie-in.
bigger than the rest of my body, but I'm
Yes,
not trying to grow my quads.
exactly. It's like, I got this, and so I'm like, I don't first of all, I don't know you, I have never seen you, you're not a pro, you have no glutes. You have no glutes, so I'm not even about to go around and around with it, but it's just kind of like that's why I say mind the business that pays you, and it's so interesting now to see, like, how all these bros are fussing with each other, like the extra science guys and the form guys. It's like, yes, know the basics, but at the end of the day, for bodybuilding, we're trying to train to make our physique look a specific way.
Yeah.
Body mechanics is a thing. So you're going to see some different things, and it doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means that, hey, maybe they feel it better that way than how it's traditionally done.
Yeah, so I was gonna say to put a disclaimer in here, when you are first learning to work out, you
Yeah.
should do it the way that you like the basic way of the movement. As you progress in bodybuilding and you're trying to focus on specific body parts for aesthetics,
Yeah.
that is when things start to change. So you learn it the correct way. And then if that's not doing anything, you change it. It's trial and error. That's what bodybuilding is.
Yeah. So Alexis and I are at a level where we're not doing what I call build the house from the ground up. We've essentially built the houses, so it's the fine tweaking. So when you first start off, you're not fine tweaking, you're building the house. Uh, do you track veggies? I track my green beans, but if I'm
Yeah.
having like lettuce or something, no, I don't
Well,
track
yeah, but you're still aware of how much you're putting in the bowl. Like, you don't just
absolutely.
keep eating.
No, 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 no.
So I think that's the root of the question.
I
You
gotcha.
cannot just eat veggies because you're hungry. There's still
Yeah.
calories. So I weigh my green beans. I Martin's been making this really good, like, I don't know what it's called, salad, but it's
Uh-huh.
not lettuce. It's like cucumbers, cherry tomatoes, um red onion, and then like a vinaigrette or
Oh,
vinegar lemon something. It's fresh and it tastes so good. I still weighed
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I still had my 100 grams of it.
yeah.
Um, but like, if you have a salad, you fill the bowl up, and then that's it. And don't get the biggest
Okay.
bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think about because I don't go back. I just like Lo does the same thing. He makes his vinaigrette. He does all this fancy stuff on it, and I just have that, and I'm still hungry. But
Yeah, so like, um track everything basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. How far in advance to schedule hair, makeup, tan? Okay, so
Not until you know that you're competing.
yeah. Yeah, because and so I get it. Sometimes things happen. You're shooting for a show, you get peak week, it's like, whoa, okay, like I'm not ready. I get it. I know for me, like I don't have a big team. So with me, you just gotta get in where you fit in, hope and pray. But when you're booking with other people who do have larger teams, especially if you're booking with the host, they're always gonna have space. Now, if the timing and the scheduling is gonna be a little funky, it could be, but the host, most of the time, they are always going to have space for you, even if you come in at the last minute.
Yeah, so if it's your first season, do not schedule anything until your coach gives you the go ahead.
Hmm.
Don't register for the show. Do
No,
not schedule you can't get your money back for your tan, you can't get your money back for your makeup. A
nothing.
lot of places don't even do what Amber does and let you reschedule to a different show. It's just
Yeah.
you just don't get your makeup. So don't pay for anything until you know that you're going to do it.
Hmm.
Um if this is like your consecutive year of competing, then if you're booking with a smaller person like Amber, or you're booking tan with someone who's not the host, do it as soon as you know you're going to be doing a show. Like, once you've competed for a while, you can say, this show in 6 months, we will make it happen. Like,
Yeah.
I'm willing to go to 0 calories. Like,
Yeah.
we'll make it happen. And then you know you're doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How to figure out the best suit color for your tone outside of the typical red, blue, greens. Well, you can book a presentation with me, consultation, and I can help you with that. The best color for you is typically not going to be your favorite color, and the best color for you is typically going to be a color that you would never expect. That's what I've learned.
Yep. It took me 6 years to do blue.
Now look at her. Now look at her. Let's see. We did that one already. Relationships when you are a bodybuilder in prep and your significant other is not a bodybuilder. So for me, my husband, what happened
It
here?
like bleeped for a
Oh,
second. You said for me, and then it like kind of went silent, and then you came back.
okay. I moved my microphone. For me, I have been with my husband before bodybuilding. So I guess it would maybe be a little bit more difficult if when we started dating, I was in bodybuilding and he wasn't. But because we were already together for 5 years prior to, it's just, oh, okay, Amber's going to the gym more. Oh, Amber now shows her glutes on stage. Okay, I have to cook a lot more food for Amber. You know what I mean? So it's definitely at the very beginning it was a challenge because we got married December 2019 and then March 2020, I'm like, oh no, we got married December 2018, and then March 2019, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be a bodybuilder, and so that's weird. It's like huge extremes. Is it tricky to navigate at the beginning? Yeah, just simply because I don't know what I'm doing. Like I don't even know how I don't have the proper language to even explain to him what's happening with me because I don't know. So I think that was more so of a challenge. But outside of that, I mean, y'all know, Lo, that's my dog. He's my biggest supporter. I would not have my pro card without him. So it's you need to make sure that the person is supportive. And that's just not even with bodybuilding, that's with anything that you do in life. So your significant other just needs to be ride or die, supportive for you, but also they need to be able to tap you on your shoulder when you act a little raggedy as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't have experience in this, in like personal experience, but I would say it's going to be a learning curve for you, so it's going to be a learning curve for your partner. So you both have to be aware and willing to take that learning curve together in different aspects, because they're going to be adjusting in a different way than you are.
Yeah.
Um, and like, I don't know how many times we've said, like, create friendships, even if they're Instagram friendships of like people in the sport. And as you do that, ask them their advice. Like, what did you experience your first prep? Just so you have an idea. Yours is going to be different, but then you can be like, so and so said this might happen, or so and so said I might get cranky. Like, I give them some kind of a heads up. The things we've talked about on here, like, you don't know what's going to happen, but at least, like, these are possibilities.
Yeah.
Are we cool to tackle this and try it?
Right.
You know, um, it's not very many times where I think it's a good idea in a relationship to be like, I'm going to do this and you're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah.
So now if it's something you feel passionately about and your partner's like, meh, then you have to figure that out too. But um, it's definitely something that if you go with it long term, it's life changing. It changes the whole way you go about your day. You pack your meals. You can't eat dinner every night together as far as the same food, So it's an adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, because at first Merle was very skeptical about it, and he was freaked out. He's like, "I do not want my wife on stage naked. What is this? I don't like this." And we went back and forth for a good bit about it. And like, I'm the kind of person where I'm always going to take a moment, step outside of myself, and hear the person. I'm listening to him. That's my husband, my partner. But then also, I had to ask myself, well, first of all, I ain't gonna do nothing to disrespect me. There's that. I was like, and then secondly, I'm not going to do anything to disrespect you or our marriage. So it sounds like we might need to have a whole nother conversation because if you're feeling a certain way, I'm not necessarily sure that you feel this way because of me. I think you might feel a certain way because of whatever it is that you got going on in here. But that's high level emotional intelligence. But you know,
Yeah. He was on the fence at first, but then at Universe, he's blowing up my phone. Like, how do I get her one of them jackets?
right.
I'm like, yes, Lo, I will go to the table and get you one.
Hilarious. Let's see. What have you learned from your relationship with Martin?
Um, I guess probably the main thing is like,
Hold on real quick, pause, because y'all been so nosy about Alexis and Martin. Let me tell you all the questions. Y'all got me out here acting a fool on social media because we ain't talked about it. Y'all nosy. Y'all nosy.
nosy, nosy, nosy.
Nosy. Go ahead, sis. Look, tell the girlies what they've been wanting to know.
I think the biggest thing is just like seeing what like patience is, and like from someone else,
Mhm.
and also like what real support is. For example, this morning I was pissed because this yesterday I checked in. So I don't have cardio right now, guys. And I'm like, when am I getting cardio? I've asked, like, do we need cardio? And boss is like, no, not yet. I'm like,
I know.
okay, okay. Like, I'm trying to trust the process, but I'm also like,
You don't know what the date is.
so yesterday he drops food. I'm like, okay, at least we're doing something. We're moving. So I
Yeah.
check in today. My weight, it did not do anything. Like I'm not even to what, like I hit a low a couple days ago and
Yeah.
then it bumped up and I'm not even back down to that. So I'm like, okay, I'm starving and nothing's happening. So I'm just angry, like not at anybody. I'm just mad that things aren't moving and they need to be moving. Um, and then I send my check in. I'm like, surely he's going to put in cardio. And then he's like, I put in there that I'm frustrated, right? And boss is like, it is being stubborn. It will move. Okay, so then I'm just in a bad mood. And I'm like, when I get in a bad mood, I tell y'all, I just be quiet. So I'm like, about to take it into my own hands. And like, I put my clothes on, put my leggings on, put my sneakers on. I'm like, I'm doing some cardio. I'm doing something. We're gonna get this fat off. And I'm putting my shoes on, and then Martin comes out, and I'm like, don't want to talk to him because I'm like, I don't want to hear this lecture about follow the plan, blah blah blah. Just
Ah,
my assumption. And he's like, why are you in such a bad mood?
wrong with you?
Yeah, I was like, told him, I'm like, he dropped food, nothing's happening. I'm just hungry and nothing's happening. So I take the dog out for a walk. And I come back in and Martin's like, I'm sorry you're grouchy. It will be fine. You will be fine. I'm sorry you're grouchy. And then like that's the end of it. And I was like, you're right. And that was like very nice. Because it was like very like I'm sorry you feel that way. You will be fine. I'm confident in it, but it still sucks that you feel that way. Is basically how it came off. And I'm like, that was very nice. And then it changed my mood and I was like, okay, it's better.
And that's the beautiful thing. That was the first thing that I peeped because this is something that I have to work on. Murillo's patience with me, and Murillo's not patient with nobody or nothing. But with me in particular, I have to remind myself when he's on my last good reserve nerve, like, okay, Amber, because you know he puts up with you. But I saw that in Martin when I was with y'all. He's very patient. And a patient man is hard to come by. It is
And
hard.
it's funny because I'm like, I'm not patient. You guys
No,
know I'm not patient.
yeah.
Um, I like have an emotion, it's there. Like and if you push me too much, I'm gonna let you know what the emotion is. Um, so like I can like bury it down, but it doesn't change like my mood is instantly changed by emotion.
You know what cracks
And
me up? Like I know you so well now. Like I can tell when you're trying to suppress it, and I'm like, let it loose. Go ahead. I can feel it through the phone. I'm like, okay, go ahead.
and Martin's not patient, he's like low, like not patient with most things, but like when it comes to me, there's
Cool as a cucumber.
yeah, he's just like, will let me go on my rant and be like, are you done?
Mm-hmm.
But the way he says it is not rude. It's like you're a little being a lot. I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Hello said to me last night. I was going on about something. He's driving. He goes, you know, today you've been very. I said, excuse me. He goes, I just noticed today you were very. I said, what does that mean? And he looks at me. He smiles. He goes, you know. I was like, I can't stand you. Let's see here. How long? Okay, 48 minutes in. Is Amber still in prep? Yeah, we're in prep, girl.
Y'all, I saw that message and I was like, Amber, everybody's asking about you now. They're not asking much about me. Because y'all, we've just I'm sure if you answer the question boxes, you know we've ignored your messages. Um because I think the other thing I've learned through this process is um everybody doesn't need to know everything. And
Oh,
like my whole and like where I struggled with that is I really want to be transparent with you guys. Like I don't like feeling that I'm hiding things or like feel like I'm only showing you part of the story. Like I tell you when days suck and I tell you when I'm pissed that the scale's not down. And I also tell you when like I feel great and I've got new lines and all that. Um, but they're also like to keep your sanity, you have to have some kind of privacy. So like people don't need to know every single thing. And then like navigating what do people need to know and what's my personal information. And then enforcing it when like that's like I didn't most like I didn't get sassy with anyone when people were like asking questions about these big things that I wasn't talking a whole lot about. Um, I tried not to like push that onto you guys because that is the expectation that I set, like I opened the door and you had access to everything and then I shut it and people are like,
Yeah.
but there's a happy medium and I'm still finding what that is of the information strangers need to know and the information that they don't need to know and then also information that it's okay to tell your friends because what I used to do is tell everybody this much and then nobody knew this stuff and then when this stuff happened people were like what, so we're trying not to do that anymore.
Alexis, yes, but it's very important to maintain a level of privacy, and I feel like that is why people love interacting with us because I don't care what anyone says, we are the realest girls on the internet. Like we're transparent, like we'll give it to you straight, no chaser, with love, but also at the same time, I share a lot, but y'all don't know all my business. Y'all do not know all my business, and you won't know all my business. I tell you what you need to know. I tell you what I'm comfortable with you knowing. There are some things that I do share just simply because I feel prompted to share them because God has told me to. And I know in a situation like that, it's letting me know, hey, share this. You're going through it. Someone else is, and it's going to help them. So at that point, it's way bigger than me. Like, take me out the equation. I have to serve and help someone else. But everybody don't need to know every detail about who, what, when. Maintain some privacy, girlfriends. Let me see. I think that's it. Oh, well, my prep, yeah. So I tried to quit prep maybe like 4 weeks ago. And my coach said no, just flat out, just no, just no. So it just goes back to what I said earlier. I've just had a lot of life stress things in the background, things that y'all don't need to know. Because I mean, my thing is, y'all, there's no perfect prep. Something's always going to happen. Sometimes things are going to happen and you're going to be able to push through. And then sometimes things are just really big and you can't push through. There's not a right or wrong answer, but there's always going to be something. And it's just a matter of, okay, can we push through this? Am I going to do what I need to do? I'm going to do what I need to do. And if I'm able to make it on stage this year, cool. But if not, it's still cool. At the end of the day, either way, we will be on stage at some point. At some point, we're getting on stage. So that's that on that. Was that it? Oh, this is a great, okay, this is a good question. Did you guys max out your natural potential before being enhanced? So I'll say this because I was talking about some stuff on my social media this morning. Your first year, and I'm going to say for most people, probably the first 2 years, like let's just be real because it takes a minute to truly learn these things. Drugs should not be a thought. You don't know how, we're still learning how to train, we're trying to figure out what foods work, like following the plan. Like you have your prep before the prep, you got to figure out if you want to prep, and then you have your prep, do you like it, do you want to continue, then you need to reverse, rinse, repeat. I feel like there are so many things that need to happen before you start having that conversation. And as far as did you max out your potential, I feel like for me personally, yes, I feel like I did all that I could. And then once I got to a point where I was hitting my head up against the wall because I couldn't recover, I understood, okay, if I don't recover, I can't grow, I can't push. My goal is to become a pro. If I can't do this, I'm not going to get this probably. I need to make a decision. Now, is it a decision that everyone needs to make? No, but that's just my personal experience. That's what you need to figure out. You need to draw a line in the sand with what you are comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with, but also your coach. If you do not have a coach that is well versed in this, you are going to have a horrible time. And in fact, if your coach is pushing stuff on you immediately and you haven't even been in the game that long, that is a red flag.
Yep, or if they're negating negative side effects because everyone experiences those differently. So I will say scientifically, you don't max out. Like your body never stops. You don't get to a point and your body's like, oh, no more muscle. Like this is all. This is all you get. Um, it significantly slows at some point. So that's where people talk about a plateau. And once you hit that plateau, then it's kind of that's, I think, where you should decide
Mhm.
what to do, what you're comfortable with doing, all that. Or, and I've said this before, um, what kind of timeline are you looking at and how do you want to manipulate that timeline? Because some people will hit that plateau genetically within a year and a half, 2 years of training intensely once they learn that intensity and find a good rhythm. Um, some people have five plus years before they really hit a true plateau.
Mhm.
Um, but let's say your age plus the life things you want to do after bodybuilding are not within a 10-year time frame, then like where do we go there? So I don't think there's a hard set plan on that. I will say I did not hit a plateau, but I was also very aware of I don't want to be doing this until I'm 40. So, in order to get to as high as I can, So, I don't like. I know a lot of people say you should do X, Y, Z before, and I do think that there's a lot of things to consider, but I don't think it's a black and white scale. Like, I don't think most like the open bodybuilders on the Olympia stage did not train until they hit a plateau before or some of them might have, but they're like 45 on the Olympia stage. So I think there's more than one factor to consider.
I would agree. And I like that you corrected that about the plateau because that's true. Because we when we say max out, because you don't stop maxing out. It's just a matter of when you kind of hit that wall. I
And I
never
think that's what people mean when they say it for the most part, but like I want people to understand that you don't just stop growing.
absolutely. It's just it's slower. It's slower. Let's see. All
Yeah.
right.
So I've had like competitors that come to me and they're like, I've done XYZ and I'm looking at their physique and I'm like, then you don't know how to train. If that's what you've used,
What?
the gym's not working. So we're not putting anything in and we're going back to square one. And
Mm-hmm.
then I've had other people who are like, I've done this and it was fine. So we try that again. And I'm like, no, ma'am, that is not what you think it is. I don't know what that is. We're not using it anymore.
Yeah. Yes. This is wild to me. People think they can just throw all these things and expect something to happen, but it's like it goes back to that basics. Like if you can't train, no drug is going to do anything.
Yeah. And honestly, you have to be in, like, if you've only been competing for 6 months or bodybuilding for 6 months, and I'm using that as a general number, and nobody around you really does it, I can almost guarantee that you do not have a good source for anything.
I
Um, and that is a problem because a lot of things are not what they say they are. And if you can get something that's really expensive for cheaper, it's not what it says it is.
we're going
um,
there. We're going there. Yes. Yes.
because drug dealers are drug dealers. I don't care if it's Coke or Anafar.
Come on. Come
They're
on.
going to make their money and they're not going to discount it because you're so and so's friend.
Yeah, no. Like someone was telling me, like, oh yeah, I get this from so and so. I don't have to pay for it. I'm like, sis, what is it? I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, wait, so they just gave it to you? Like, yeah, and you didn't have to pay. And so you think that is what? Okay,
And
whatever.
like this, I want like the weight of this to come to you. This is coming from someone who has a lot of connections. And I'm not getting it for like nobody's getting it for cheap. So like please know that if it is half off, it is not it and don't buy it. If
No,
you and then it's expensive. So like let take that all the way home. Like it is expensive. If you're getting it for cheap, it's not what it is. If you're not, like, you are getting your money's worth most of the time. Sometimes they sell fake stuff for the regular price too. So
yeah,
like that's again where it comes in. You need to have a reliable source. And um yeah.
yeah. Didn't know we were going there, but that's fine.
Well, I've found that I think the more that I'm coaching, the
Yeah.
more that I realize that that's prevalent. And like, I've not ever been in a scenario where I didn't know a bodybuilder. I knew bodybuilders before I was a bodybuilder.
Mhm.
So I haven't been in that scenario, but I'm seeing how easy it is
Yeah.
Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
So unless you have a test kit, which is expensive to test what you're getting.
Yeah, I've never. If I don't know, I always ask you. Like I've always been able to ask somebody that. Yeah, I've never. Yeah,
Yeah, so like it's very easy to get into a pickle very quickly, and
yeah,
then people are like, "I'm taking this and my voice is changing." And I'm like, "Then girl, that's not what you think it is because that doesn't do that." And not in 2 weeks.
yeah.
Like
It's like, yeah, it's just this. I'm like, it's just that, and you have a whole Adam's apple. But whatever. All right, you guys. That's it. We gave you an hour long because, well, y'all asked a lot of great questions,
and
and
it's
we.
been a while.
It's
I've
been a
seen a
while.
couple of you guys at shows recently and you're like, "When's the next podcast?" And I'm
Listen,
like,
they come for our.
"Guys, I've been in 2 3 states in the last week and a half. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know."
states, time zones. So I don't have any travel, and I know you're buckling down because you guys are both. I mean, everyone, we're all in prep, so we will make sure to get back on a regular schedule, you guys. So please exercise grace because as we get closer to the Olympia, obviously Alexis is going to be getting on stage. I'll be hopefully getting leaner. So yeah, just bear with us. All right.
Hang in there.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
Bye, guys.